going back to what you said, I think then because as a black person, when you see a policeman, usually you are presumed innocent, and then the policeman, if they find something, then they arrest you. But as a African American man, I think in America, when you see a police officer, you are kind of presumed guilty, and then you got to kind of prove your innocence to the police officer so that this might not be the last encounter with him. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I was driving through Mississippi with my wife in the car, and I was pulled over by an officer. And he walked to the car, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and there were 3 other officers standing in the back of the car, and he said that he received a call that I was swerving around or whatever. That's just some reason to stop me, some pretense to stop me. But I've tried to make clear to him that I hadn't done anything. I had my hands on the steering wheel or whatever. And he noticed how tense I was, like maintaining that. And he says, are you scared? Or are you scared? I said, yes. And he said, I'm scared too, because he had his hand on his arm, his sidearm, and he had 3 cops at the back of the car for a traffic stop. Mm-hmm. So it's always a heightened kind of engagement with officers. It's really a kind of a weird thing. And I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm not saying that people are doing anything hostile. I've been fortunate enough not to have that happen. That's all I'm saying. The scenarios in which people are engaged or encountered always set up the potential for something to go bad, really wrong at any point in time, especially if a person is predisposed to use that excessive force. And that's what people are really talking about. Police need to do their job. They need to help us be safe, but that predisposition, excessive force, means that you make errors that you can't undo.
Yeah, I've been
harming.
Yeah, because I've always thought that being a police officer is one of the toughest, especially in America, one of the toughest jobs to do, because you got to get every morning when you wake up, you got to get it right. If you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, you get a quarrel with your wife, or let's say you just had a bad day, and then you run into a situation where you're not sure whether the guy you're pulling over is dangerous. So you always have to err on the side of caution. But if you err on the side of caution too much, you could make mistakes that could end somebody's life, innocent man's life, right? And so that job is just incredibly hard. And I think a lot of police officers out there are just not capable of making this clear distinction and being professional in a sense where even if they're having a bad day, they got to be able to process things well enough and always try to de-escalate the issue rather than escalate the issue. Like him putting his arm on his, in your case, putting his arm, reaching for his gun in a sense, when he had no reason to, is one example where, he was ready to escalate the issue if need be, when he had no reason to, yeah.
But that's part of that too, is that remember, if you go back to what I said about the presumption and then the stereotypes of black men being aggressive and a threat, there's automatically this presumption that I could be dangerous, and which means you approach me totally different than you would if you thought, oh, this guy he was speeding, or that was a fake call, or he was swerved, whatever it was. You don't just assume that. Once you have my identity programmed, whether you are intentionally doing this or not, you're coming to me with this predisposition for this could be a dangerous situation.